Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Repitchas here, and today we'll look at another round of European teams. Two leaders now, Hungary and Azerbaijan, who won all three matches, and Russia drew Spain, and well, some other results. Hungary actually outplayed France with Firouzja on first board. And but they won on third and fourth board, and the first board of Firouzja convincingly won, and we'll see this game right now. So Alireza plays black, and he plays c6, which makes it even more interesting. So caro-kann, knight f3, d5, knight c3, bishop g4. So this is two knights variation for black. Let's see it from black standoff point. h3, and this is position from round 1 when Firouzja defeated Wojtek Plat, I think, from Czech Republic. d4, knight f6, he takes with the pawn. So in this structure, you don't really want your knight on c3, or you want to keep pressure on this to recapture with the knight. I mean, obviously it's the first engine line, but I'm saying just how I understand this position. Knight c6, knight d2, while maneuvering the knight so it is not pinned. In case bishop b4, then probably white will play bishop to d2. Alright, so knight c6, h6, not allowing pin of the knight, c3, bishop d6, and rook c8. A bit strange looking move, because normally you want to have your rook on b8, and then play something like b5, a5, and b4. But definitely Firouzja had in mind this ridiculous move he made later in the next move, g4. So black hasn't castled, and white has started offense on the king side. So normally you want your opponent to castle first, but just mention that black played this h6 move, and when you play h6, then with g5 it kind of weakens a bit your king side. It's luft, but it is like a cradle to start and to tackle your opponent's king side pawn structure. So just notice that white also hasn't castled. They could play like something like bishop to d2, I don't know, to f4, and then castle king side. And in this position, Firouzja amazed me with this knight, king to d7, and the king is just running to b8. It's like I think many Firouzja's moves just look to me like he's playing 1 minute game. I mean, something like that. And I also had this position, not this, but in caro-kann I played with black, and I also once played, but I think I played something more crazier, like king c6, king b8, and king e7, and I drew this game. So very strange looking move, h5. Angel suggested like h4, but I think g4 is more logical. So he pins the knight, and king keeps running away. And they castled, but actually this rook on c8 is placed now correctly, yeah, because white needs to play king b1, and rook on c8 is doing, I think, a lot of potential. It has a lot of potential here. But it's not over yet. So rook g1, while attacking this pawn, obviously, and b5. So Firouzja castled queenside, and now he starts to move pawns from the king. So it's like nothing you can learn in the chess club, in chess school. It's a totally different game. A3 and A5. Well, it's logical, you just attack your king with the pawns, but yeah, just mention that your king is on b8. But I think in this position, black's king is I'm not saying that white's king is not safe, but we see in French defense, for instance, for white, when also both sides castle somehow queenside, and white plays king h1 and start the offense. It's very common, but not in caro-kann, definitely. Queen b6, rook g7, queen b7. I would play something like rook c7. I don't know why he played this. You don't want to get pieces overworked, yeah, but probably he wanted to move his queen somewhere else. b4, bishop f8, and he checked. Nice looking check, yeah, that this rook also protects this h6 square, so you can play here. f5, move also which you want to do, because queen can infiltrate, and at this point it has to go all around. Rook g3, rook c8, and now somehow he outplayed his opponent absolutely. I can't say where exactly why did something wrong. His play looked logical, but I think that he must have played earlier something like rook to h7 or something. Okay, so in this position already engine suggests that white is worse. Yeah, black is better, so it suggests to run with the pawn h4. Okay, so they exchange the pieces, and this position is just a little bit better for black. Again, we can notice that white doesn't have an active plan. Black can capture at every turn and play something like bishop b8 with different threats. His pawn is weak, so engine says that the position of white is okay, but I would take black here definitely. Rook c8. Knight e7, nothing really going on, just both sides trying to improve their pieces, and Firouzja goes for this exchange of queens. I think that it's a right decision. Again, with queens, and now black's king is actually got worse. Maybe he should have played queen g3, and engine suggests that maybe he shouldn't exchange the queens early, but definitely with these maneuvers Firouzja persuaded his opponent that he will find a way to mate him, so he decided to swap the queens. Bishop b5 and knight g8, probably going somewhere in this direction. And knight e4. Again, from engine point of view, white got outplayed again. So this advantage goes back and forth, but after 2-3 moves again, black gets a better position all the time, no matter whether it's an endgame or not. Engine suggests to play rook b8, but I mean it's very logical, so they exchanged. h4. So this is the endgame. Black is pawn up. They have 2 islands. Black has 4, and also this pawn is big weakness. Yeah, if you exchange something, this pawn for, I don't know, for this one, then black will have huge center. So they're definitely winning h4, and this pawn is not going anywhere. This bishop is just, you cannot get to him because this pawn on the light square, yeah, it controls this g6, and really hard to stop. So king e2, if bishop, if rook here, and probably this this bishop has problems and has basically nowhere to go. For instance, here, and we protect our pawn, and then move the king back up to this pawn. All right, so you move your king up, and that's what happened. King took the pawn, he took for other pawn. Yeah, and in this position, Ancient suggested that you have to play bishop f8, probably to start attack. And now he says that this is a mistake. So after this, some rook d6 saves the game. Play here, then maybe this is what saves white, because all these pawns are on the light squares, and bishop is quite strong, and also white has this counter attack on good counter play on the queen side. So rook c2 was a mistake again, and he stops the pawn. Yeah, now it's totally winning. Erdos didn't have time on his clock, and in this position he played on the last second rook takes d5, with the idea that if you take here, then it's bishop a4, but Firouzja just gave check, and Erdos resigned because it goes here, then we take the full rook. Alright, thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.